Okay, here's some problems from the homework. I'm going to show it with all the steps so you can see them. I don't have the problem numbers written out, but you can look and figure them out. So here we have a multiplication problem. First, put in the ones, and then simplify the parentheses. So for the parentheses part, we are going to multiply. So I get 3 to the second, x to the second, times x to the fifth. The next step would normally be to organize, but as you can see, these are already organized here. And so now it's just cleaning things up. So I have this and that group. So there's only one thing with 3 squared, and 3 squared is 9. And then x to the fifth times, x to the second times x to the fifth I add. So x to the seventh. One down. Here's the next problem. Here I have two things to simplify. So first let's put in the ones to make sure we don't forget them. And let's clear the parentheses. So I've got x to the third, y to the 12th, and then x to the 10th, y to the 5th. Again, I'm just using the multiplication rule. Now let's organize. So x to the third, x to the 10th, y to the 12th, y to the 5th. And now we can see our groups, and it's clearly the addition rule. So that becomes x to the 13th, y to the 17th. Alright, moving on to the next one. We have a division problem, and we have something in the numerator to simplify. So the first step, remember, was to simplify the numerator, then simplify the denominator. So let's put in the ones again. And so this is going to be 2 to the 4th, x to the 12th, over 6x to the 5th. Now that everything's simplified, let's do the splits, and while I'm doing that, I'll do 2 to the 4th, because I know what that is. That's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Write that out if you need to see it, so you know that it's not 8, it's 16. So I get 16 over 6 times x to the 12th over x to the 5th. Now I'll work each one separately. The first fraction is just a regular fraction, so no subtraction rule, just canceling. So a 2 goes into both of these. A 2 comes out of 16 and leaves me with 8. A 2 comes out of 6 and leaves me with 3. So that's 8/3. And here we have the subtraction rule, 12 minus 5 times x to the 7th. If you want to put the over 1 to remember whether the x to the 7th belongs in the numerator or denominator, now we just scrunch everything back together by multiplying straight across. So I get 8x to the 7th all over 3. I don't need the times 1 because that doesn't change anything. Here's another nice problem. Now the parentheses are there to show multiplication, but if you notice, there's nothing on the outsides here. Okay? I don't mean that there's zeros, I just mean that there's nothing there to note that. So there's really no simplifying the parentheses. So we can go right to the first step and we can organize. So this is going to be x to the negative second, x to the third, y to the 4th, y to the negative second. Now we have our little groups. And so again, here it's the addition rule. So I have x negative 2 plus 3 is 1, and y 4 plus negative 2 is 2. There's no negative exponents at all to clean up here, so this is it. X to the first, y to the second. Alright, here's another little division problem. There's nothing to simplify in the numerator and denominator, so we go right to the splits. So I've got x to the negative third over x to the negative second times y to the negative fifth over y. Let's throw in the 1 so we don't forget it. And now it's division, so we do the subtraction rule. Negative 3 minus 2 becomes negative 3, or sorry, negative 3 minus negative 2 becomes negative 3 plus 2. So that's x to the negative 1 times a negative 5 minus 1 for the y y to the negative 6. Alright, now let's change the negative exponents. So both of them are negative, so that becomes 1 over x to the first times 1 over y to the sixth. And now we can just clean that all up. There's nothing else to do. That's just going to be 1 over x y to the sixth. Alright, as long as you do these systematically, they are not really that difficult. It's when you try to figure out what you're supposed to do first and you make the wrong choices that you get yourself into trouble. Alright, a few left still. Here's a different twist with a negative on the outside. So let's go with the rules. Simplify first. There's nothing to put ones on, so this becomes x to the negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15, times y to the 7 times negative 5 is y to the negative 35th. Okay, now let's clean up the negative exponents. So that's x to the 15th times 1 over y to the 35th. Again, negative exponent just means reciprocal, and now we can finish up by multiplying across x to the 15th y to the 35th. Okay. So here's another one now. First step, let me throw in the ones where needed because that's going to be affected in the parentheses. First step in simplifying then, clear that parentheses out, so nothing happens to the 4x minus 1 in the beginning because they are not in the parentheses. So that's times 2 to the negative 2, and x to the negative 3 times negative 2 would be positive 6. Alright, organize. 4 times 2 to the negative second is x to the negative first, x to the sixth. Now we have our little groups. Alright, so let's first take care of the groupings here, and that becomes 4 times 2 to the negative second, and that would be x to the fifth, negative 1 plus 6. Alright, work the negative exponents out. 4 over 2 squared times x to the fifth. And now we can deal with 2 squared, 4 over 4 times x to the fifth, and we know 4 over 4, that's just 1, they cancel each other out, so the final answer is just x to the fifth. That was a lot to get to there, but you can see by doing everything step by step, you don't try to cram things together and make a mistake that, because you're just trying to get through the problem quickly. Alright, I have a couple more left on here. Alright, this one, the way you want to think of it is because the whole fraction is in parentheses, that really each piece is being taken to the negative third power. And so let me put the little ones in where necessary, and now we'll distribute, because the first thing when you have a fraction is to simplify the numerator and denominator. So that's 2 to the negative third, x to the negative third, all over x to the negative 6 times negative 3 is 18. Alright, let's split them up. So I get 2 to the negative thirds by itself, x to the negative third over x to the 18th. So we know 2 to the negative third is 1 over 2 to the third. And the subtraction rule, negative 3 minus 18, says x to the negative 21st. Okay, that's 1 over 8, 2 times 2 times 2, and x to the negative 21st, it's the reciprocal. And finally clean it all up, 8x to the 21st. Okay, and last but not least, let's look at this one here. No parentheses to simplify, so just let's sort it all out. X squared, x to the negative first, y to the negative sixth, y to the negative fourth. Group them up. The addition rule comes into play, so 2 plus negative 1 is 1, so that's x to the first times y. Negative 6 plus negative 4 is negative 10. And so now we've got x times 1 over y to the 10th. And if you want to make the 1, so you recognize the fraction, multiply across, we get x over y to the 10th. And that's it. Good luck, everybody.